suenen da jango lamden matri lamden da mangoto saadon tidilana mato tujo yomaras.
So to understand that, and what I'm going to teaching you is a lamp on the path to enlightenment. So actually it's a long course, but I will teach you very briefly, concisely, and very, somewhere very keen. So if you ask, and who composed that? And that is Atisha.
Atisha is not true. So much when I don't have Mama Soja Palayan, Ran Zinzi, Tibetan Koyamar, changes the Jangchub Ö.
So if you ask, who is Atisha? And Atisha is such kind of sentient being that from the very birth till up to his death, and he didn't acquire such a quality like self-cherishing thought. And he has only quality that cherishing others.
Quran represents about Jaro set to Delian, Jaro Casula. She Jaro set Delian and the Jaro Pundolian, Chashin Gardishins, Rans Ranjo Yava Jinsi Gard. But she seems to share a Tantras Jesu.
So it's very clear that even though he was born in such a wealthy family, such a well-known king, he was born as a prince, but he's not attached to these sensual things. So he detached, he left out all those things, and he practiced, and he accomplished such a quality that he can cherish others. So that's why we can say that, through that we can prove that, and he acquired such a quality to cherishing others.
아라도 이제 배자로 약간인지 유나 내가 차는 어떤 마도바셔 쉬어야 될 수도 와. 오늘 더 또지가 개고 다로 이제 개고 또 심부 된적이 배. 우리 개면 들려네 배자고 뭐 취미시나 봐.
So for example, for us, if we happen to be like in such condition like Atisha, so I don't think so that there's no way, no chance to remember or just to get an idea to do this kind of practice. But even though Atisha was born in such a, status, the king that is well known all over the areas, but even though he had this kind of belongings and this kind of power and everything is in his hand, but he left. Why? Because he didn't find any meaning for that. So he actually practiced to cherishing others. So that's why it's not necessary to go particularly for the text like lamp on the path to enlightenment. You can take the example of Atisha. Just read Atisha, just know Atisha, just understand Atisha, and that is the teaching of lamp on the path to enlightenment.
Atisha 생각도 그런 충분해. 더봐요도 너무 있는데 니야. 더봐요도 니야. 누구 내중으로.
So Atisha, the special characteristic of Atisha is that from the very birth, and he has such a imminent transmissions, and he's got such a wisdom that he can understand in life. So that is a special characteristic of Atisha.
that's about the way in the you and the Taiwan and the Greek. But people should UTC, Rivnet, the Tarsend. To it and the motive, the Taiwan and Madeleine, some charts when a cabinet, the Venerable, Kevin, Fibber, Kilowar, the way you
So just in brief, so how we acquired such a, you can say, so how we acquired, you can say, the quality of transmission is in such a way that even though he didn't practice, even though he didn't, encounter in learning process, but he got such a knowledge of Tantrayana, Sutrayana, and this kind of all, you can say like Anuvati Yoga, and so forth, and as well as he got such an eminent understanding of Tibetan grammar and literatures and so forth, and as well as he has such an understanding of these, you can say Hindus, Vedas and so forth. So in that place where and that's why he didn't engage in the learning process, still he can understand all the natures of all those things really well, so he can compete with the, you can say, the Hindus. So he really compete with them. So even though he didn't learn the Hindu Vedas so forth, but we can debate with them through that own prospect. So through this way we say that he acquired an imminent of oral, you can say, transmission understandings.
Then they got the Lama Patuna, Lama Sumatuna, Lama Tunja Lavani, but to get a Tazir, Soda Sansena, Soda the Chanjo, Simba Sadunde, Kalota, Soda the Batang, and do some other between and Gaman, so Tanga the Chanson, one of the Chanson about Nezer Timbu, Mr. Chikitina, Chuniana, Basuni, Gaman, Kazi. Timbu the garage and a fancy, Ganesh into an another shan, don't shadow, shadow, go Basuma, shadow which you got shadow of the Tibet Magosia.
So anyhow, the Atisha acquired such a knowledge of three trainings, especially the first one, the moral discipline. So within the moral disciplines, and he said that he never lose any kind of, you can say, he never made any mistakes, especially for the, you can say, the precept of self-liberations. And he get, sometimes, and in terms of, you can say, Bodhisattva was, and he happened to make such a small mistakes, and while he made a mistakes, and he understood that he made a mistake, and he do purification and confession at that very right moments. And also, you can say, the precept of and also you can say precept of Tantrayana, and he do made some mistakes, but the right moment he understand that he made a mistake and he purified it. In this way we say that he really is something extraordinary and an example for everybody, that he's like special person and special, you can say, Bodhisattva. So that's why I told you before that to understand Atisha, to know Atisha, so through this way, if you understand Atisha, which means that you practice Lama on the path to enlightenment. So that's why I don't feel that we have to go each and every word of Lama on the path to enlightenment if we understand the Atisha's qualities, Atisha's wisdom. So in terms of concentration, so Atisha got such a like a talent in the concentration, especially in and Atisha had such a talent in the concentration, especially, you can say, we have no need to explain about the karma fighting mind, how he, you can say, meditated on the karma fighting mind is something really rather, you can say, no need to explain the way he did it. It's really beautiful, not a beautiful, it's really like wonderful, and especially he got such a understanding and such a knowledge of the, you can say, Tantra, is really rather appreciable and is something very imminent, and is really, you can say, exemplary one.
그래서 나는 또 전주 선배들 이 가서 다 전주 수업생들이 반대 아티샤 생각에 관련 다는 지난 그런 전주 선배 다고 있는데 그 나는 있잖아 라마스님 발았다네 전주 선배 다발로 중요한 그냥 그런 시에는 원래 다는 게 배는 선배 친구 있는 거죠.
So in within the this training of mind, as Atisha is famous in, especially the famous in practicing the, you can say, Bodhisattva precept. So for that, he had encountered in he encountered in 12 long years to practice that one. That's why he is famous for, like Bodhisattva practice. So that's why we used to call him the great Bodhisattva. Yeah. So he get the, you can say, Bodhisattva practice or Bodhisattva teachings from Lama Selingpa. So after that, and he really practiced the Bodhisattva wars. So that's why he's famous for Bodhisattva practice. So that's why you can say all over the areas, and he is famous for in such a name that great Bodhisattva, another name of Atisha.
전주 쓴다 나만 마태야래. 그 나네 다시 냠지가 전주 쓰는 부채 라마 슬림바네 마. 장anya 로중에 대장냐면 다르죠. 나도 로직에 뭐 다와지게 전주 그러면 왔어.
So not only he meditate or to get the teaching of Bodhisattvas, you can say 12 years from Lama Selingpa, as well as, and he get the teaching of exchanging oneself with others. So, and he spent such a time, and he engaged in such a hard activities. But for example, for us, do you think that is possible for 1 year? I don't think so. Even one day for us. So not only a 1 day, one session. Still that we say that we are receiving the teaching of Lamrim. So by examining Atisha, by understanding the quality of Atisha, so if we say that we are teaching Lamrim and we are listening Lamrim, then I really feel that little bit of shy, because when we understand Atisha already now, his qualities and his talents and everything. So if we say that I'm teaching them, like a lamp on the path to enlightenment, then I feel like it seems like a job for me, because Atisha's understanding is incomparable to our understandings, for my understandings, and his origins are incomparable to
Atisha 냐는 또 진행되지 않아와 단돌람의 시리즈는 못하네. Atisha 그러냐면 시야가 이 처음 찍다는 거 내가 단돌람의 시리즈는 생각이 못 하고.
So I feel it's really, like a little bit ashamed, because as compared to Atisha, I don't have any practice of one dot, like one single atom. As compared to Atisha, I don't have a practice still. Still, if I say that I'm teaching that lamp on the path to enlightenment, then it seems a little bit nervous.
어떻게? 내가 시작에 나와서 원했던 지금 단주가 도움이 됐다와 관에 자자 심보를 원했던 내가 가서다. 지 마만 배대로 또 투비를 기행하는 배wan의 단에게 조금으로 또 받았던 데서 시를 사기는.
So, in terms of, you can say, wisdom, And from the Mahayana point of view, and he really understands.
다와 선생. 단교에 다와들. 다와 타도와 다와는 다와는 다와 타쇼도 단교가 다와로. 어떠로도 단교가 다와 통하면 무슨도 탔으게 그냥 와. 근데 지금도 무슨 거나 동화 집에 쓰면은 좀 알아도. 이 주로만
So, in terms of wisdom point of view, the Atisha is something like that. He can understand the most subtlety of the Prasangika Madhyamika view. And sometimes this view we used to call Mahamudra. From the Prasangika Madhyamika perspective view, he understands that. And not only that, and he have a practice of that understanding. So that's why the wisdom aspect of the Atisha is something really incomparable and really is incomparable to us.
이나 아티샤스 뭐냐면 대대로 초고지대 뭐냐면 이 지구 인산의 수요 말씀 님중지요.
So in reality, Atisha never said that, or practiced that. He's just as simple and humble, and that's the when you come across Atisha, and he's more like a very simple and very humble man. And not that he never said that I practice this and that. And he always considers, even though he got such a knowledge, such understanding, but he never let down the other sentient beings. He always considered to other sentient beings. He respected other sentient beings. He regarded other sentient beings just hide in him, always, all the time. So he has such a love and you can say an understanding to other sentient being in such a way that if we happen to throw a stone to one dog, and he in the very moment he feels that I just throw a stone to my mom, so he got such a a regard and such a love to all sentient beings. So for us, it's really hard to consider that we can say leave out the all sentient beings, even for human beings, and we have a lot of biasness and partialities just like us. So we are hard to believe that all human beings as our mother and father, whatever, because we have a lot of part and discriminations. So he is such a human being that he got a love and compassion to the numberless of all sentient beings. And not only that we can say, flourish, not only he engaged in the activities just to flourish the truth, this kind of dharma in Tibet, he also performed a lot of, we can say, activities of dharma activities he's shown in all over India. So in terms of Tibet, whenever we happen to be here, the tradition named Kadamba, and there always comes Atisha there. And he is the one who founded the Kadam tradition in Tibet. So he's the most eminent disciple of Atisha is Tromtamba.
다 가면 다 아디샤 별이야 된데 중에 사람은 이시원의 전주 뭐 이게 때문에 그냥 수업면에 중이 별이야 안다 본데 미규리 내리 수업면도 중에 아빠네 아디샤사 된지 쉬어있어.
So how Atisha came to Tibet is that it's really a very tragic, and there are two brothers, Lha Yeshe Ö and Jangchub Ö. So to invite Atisha from India to Tibet to flourish Buddhism in Tibet, and for that, the elder brother Yeshe Ö, he caused his life. He spent his life because he was captured by non-Buddhists there, and to liberate him from the prison, and that king, the non-Buddhist king, said that, and he so there are a lot of bargains, whatever. The actual thing is to invite Atisha to Tibet. It cost the life of the elder brother Yeshe Ö. So all these are come through in you will come across in Lamrim, so you can know all those things. So, a lamp on the path to enlightenment was composed by Atisha in Tibet, in the western part of Tibet, where the monastery called Toling is a monastery was constructed by the Yeshe Ö's younger brother Jangchub Ö, and Jangchub Ö was the first king or the followers of Atisha who received the teaching of a lamp on the path to enlightenment. So when Atisha reached the western part of Tibet, the Toling monastery, and then the younger brother Jangchub Ö supplicate to Atisha that and give us a teachings, such teaching that can understand by all over Tibet, and which can benefit all over the human beings here who really in need of that kind of teachings. So, and Atisha gave us such a teachings, and this teaching is the lamp on the path to enlightenment, which categorize refuge, karma, and so forth. And later on, which is become very benefits to all the Tibetans in Tibet. So when Atisha come from India, and he got such a thought that the younger brother Jangchub Ö might ask him that to give us such a profound and such very difficult kind of teachings. He had such a mind like that. When he reached there, in reality, and Jangchub Ö, and he asked such a teaching that which can benefit, which can understand by the three level of people, like the grassroots level of people, middle and the first class. That the teaching which can benefit all Tibetans. And the moment when he heard the Jangchub Ö is, like seeking, then he really, Atisha really feels unhappy and calmness, and he really, like made his mind, and he really gave us such a teaching. And that teaching is, like lamp on the path to the enlightenment.
남들 내리야 즉 티바주는 동화도 제가 찾아내는 배 슈크이나 요령 거지 찾아낸 요령 것이 남들에서는 능대기나 토다 남들에서는 뭐 남들 토로 일단 동화 삼적의 배는 지 권지야가 최근 되면 다시 즉지요 남들.
So the specialty of the teaching of the a lamp on the path to enlightenment is that in all the traditions and considered, and this is the key of all the teachings. And later on, from this, a lamp on the path to enlightenment derived the name Lambrim, which means the greater path.
대답하지 남들 바니 자갈 바산도 자가고 베비다 할래디 신용라 사왔는데네 지 부자가 베비남 제 좋아지는 가져신 내 시워지 중자 표질의 평범한 생각도 자갈에 평범하고 들이야랑 저저 송고 시스네 조징랑 저 좀에 등사랑 저 지금 등자디랑 저 등원에 이미 다 대상이야 가지랑 저 임발라 클래신다고 소주 도우스는 다랑 저선 되게 도와지
So, when Atisha composed a lamp on the path to enlightenment in Tibet, so when he sent this very book to India, by Vikramashila, so the Panditas, which means scholars, they really get astonished and surprised by such a text. And they said that if he happened to stay here and he didn't get the privilege and chance to compose such a wonderful, simple, precise, very meaningful kind of teachings. So because he went to Tibet and he get such a privilege in teachings, and they said to him that, so please just write one auto commentary on that very text, like a lamp on the path to enlightenment, then it's really benefit for us. So that's why we say that a lamp on the path to enlightenment is not only beneficial to the people of, you can say, Tibetans, and it's also beneficial to Indians too, like the Indians, Panditas. This is one of the, you can say, the special qualities of a lamp on the path to enlightenment.
So, Lambda said that partner Shukajala Yamati Yena, using the Sangatam Jeple Sanjasala Yandra, Lambusha, Shuga Shu Lam Chazan Yodu, to be honest.
So, and this is such a teaching that which is in the form of path, the path to where? Path to lead oneself to the enlightenment. So we used to call, it's called a path. What kind of path? Path which you can able to lead yourself to the enlightenment. A lamp on the path to enlightenment. Another name we just call a path. Path for what? Path to lead oneself to enlightenment.